Welcome back to Meet Bridget, a show that sheds light on the often untold teenage and young adult stories of successful women from all types of backgrounds and in all sorts of careers. This show is an extension of our confidence coaching service for young women. I'm Kishia Rosenberg, and I co host this show alongside my best friend and Meet Bridget founder and CEO, Asha Gabriel. We are currently on season 4 of Meet Bridget, which is really wild to say, and it's been really incredible. We've been so lucky to host so many successful, articulate, diverse women who've all shared their individual pathways to success and who have really gifted our audience with their vulnerability on all of their valuable lessons and takeaways on their journeys to that success. Today, I am so excited to have you meet Danielle Mayfield, wife, mother of 2, flight attendant, and a private pilot working towards commercial pilotship. As a longtime flight attendant for Southwest Airlines, Danielle didn't even realize that becoming a pilot was an option available to her. When I was doing my research, currently I realized that less than half of 1% of professional pilots, i.e., pilots holding airline transport pilot, commercial, military, and/or certified flight instructor licenses, are women. Of that half a percent, less than 150 of those women are Black women pilots in the United States. It's kind of wild. It's 2024 and we're still having to quote these numbers. So I'm so excited because before I met Danielle, that's not even something that I thought about. And now she is here to share her story. She is a woman on a mission to help close that gap, to follow her passion, and to share everything she's learned along the way with us. So, welcome, Danielle. Thank you so much for joining our show.
Thank you so much for having me because, like you said, I think this is a very important topic that a lot of people do not know about. That it's less than 1% of African American women that are pilots. And so I'm definitely trying to. Bridge that gap for me. And then I do have a daughter,
Mhm.
and I have a son. So to like open up more doors for everybody that's, following behind me.
I love that so much. We started out as a company that had a mission to increase the visibility, like broaden the horizons of young women who didn't see examples such as yourself, like couldn't even imagine what that would look like. And I'm really excited because your story is a prime example of like you went into your career thinking you were going to do one thing, not even realizing that there was more ahead of you. And so I'm so excited for you to share how you came upon that. Before we jump into it, as you know, our podcast and our platform is really passionate about sharing the stories, the things that really make us who we are today. So, in our adult success, the things in our childhood and our teen years that have affected who we are and have really shaped who we've become, have become, how we've created these integral pieces of ourselves. So, I'd love to start off with asking you where you're from and a little bit about your family life and background.
So a little bit about me. I am from Houston, Texas. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. I am on my mom's side, I am one of 4 girls. And then on my dad's side, he did have a son as well. So it's 5 of us all together. Um, I am, I guess you could say, the middle child. My 2 older sisters are twins, and then
Oh,
it's
wow.
me. Yeah, then it's me, and then I have a younger sister and a younger brother. Um, so my childhood definitely impacted who I am now. My mom is actually a flight attendant too. My mom was a well, she still is a flight attendant. She has been a flight attendant for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And so that's all I knew growing up. And I loved my mom's lifestyle. Like I loved that, she was there for us, but she also went to work. But it wasn't like a everyday Monday through Friday type of job.
Mhm.
She was able to come to, like, I was in track at high school, and she was able to make my track meets and things like that. But she did go away on the weekends and things like that. My
That's
mom and my dad. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm going to mark that because I don't want to talk over you at all. I was just going to ask, w- th- I have very little concept of what the actual schedule of a flight attendant was like. So I was curious, with your mom being a flight attendant, you said it wasn't a 9 to 5 job. Did she only work weekends? Could she kind of pick and choose so she could, divide her time between being present for like games and stuff?
Well, so the schedule when you first start is because our job is all about seniority. The longer you've
Mm-hmm.
been there, the better your schedule is. So
Mm-hmm.
when she started, I was 9. So her schedule wasn't what she wanted it to be
Mm-hmm.
when she first started, but you normally do work the weekends when you first start. So it kind of worked out in her favor.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, school was like Monday through Friday, and then she would have to work on the weekends. So because I've been with Southwest for 10 years now, and my seniority is a lot better here, and because I'm in LA now, it's a lot better here than it was in Houston, where I'm originally from. And I can pick and choose my schedule now because I have been there a lot longer. And so with her, she can pick her schedule now the day she wants. And with Southwest, we do have what we call turns, which
Mm-hmm.
is a 1 day trip. You leave and you come back, and all in the same day. Or you can do a 2 day trip, and that's where you leave, you spend a night, and then you come back the second day. Or you can do a 3 day, which is you're gone for 3 days, or you can do 4 days. The longest we have is 4 days. And for flight attendants, we do not have a lot of 4 days. A lot of people really didn't like them. I feel as well that's too long to be away from home.
Mm-hmm.
So I typically do 2 days in turns just because I do have children. And of course, I am in school to become a
Mm-hmm.
pilot, a commercial pilot as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
try to do 2 days in turns where I'm at home a lot of the time.
Yeah. So as a kid, that I mean it's so cool that your mom got to be available to you and, be present at your games. What was your dad also in the aviation industry?
No, my dad is on the opposite end of the spectrum. My dad is an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
He has always been since I was a child. Um, and I felt like that's where like a little bit of um I guess my personality come from, or who I am today, because to be honest, well, seeing my dad trying to be an entrepreneur, it wasn't like a lot of money in that.
Hmm.
He's into communications. Like when internet first started coming along, he was the one that went and ran the lines for the internet, at different
Hmm.
schools. And he used to put the lines to the wall so we could hook the computers up, to
Hmm.
the dial up. That's
Yeah.
how long ago it was. So he's on the opposite end. But it is weird that my dad did work for Southwest Airlines, I think, for 3 years. And we do have this airplane that's still in the fleet that's, flying now, that has everybody's name on it that worked in this period of Southwest Airlines. And my
Hmm.
dad and my mom name is on the airplane
Oh
because
my
they worked
gosh.
there, yeah,
Is
at
that
the
how
same time.
is that how they met?
No, no, they met before he worked for
Oh.
Southwest. Yeah. Yeah, but I
That's
think it's
why.
so cool. I actually have a picture of it in my phone because they both worked there for a period of time, and it was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So what else do you remember around this time of your mom, taking on this new career and you're a teenager, you're growing up in Houston, Texas. Did you always know that you wanted to follow in your mom's footsteps, or did you just think to yourself at the time like, wow, I just really enjoy that it's so atypical?
Well, no, I did not want to follow in my mom's footsteps growing up. I think that's like a girl and mom's thing. I wanted to do something completely different. I always had a love for children. I thought I was
Hmm.
going to be a school teacher. That's what I went to college for. That's what um, I just thought I was going to do. And once I got into college, I don't like routine. For some reason, I freaking hate routine. And so in college, I was a substitute teacher,
Hmm.
and I used to sub on every days that I didn't have class. And I did not like that at all. I did not
You
like
realized
sitting.
you didn't like the routine.
Yes, I did not like going to the same school every day, sitting behind the desk for 8 hours. And a lot of people tried to encourage me. They was like, "Well, you're a substitute teacher, so you're not getting the whole feel of it." But I'm like, "You guys do this Monday through Friday." Like, I could not. I don't like routine. I don't like the same thing all the
Mhm.
time. And I'm learning that as an adult. And it's hard because I have kids now, and everybody say they should be on a routine. And I'm like, but I hate routines. Like, I hate doing the same thing every day. So being a flight attendant has allowed me to not have a routine, especially before kids. I used to work a Monday or a Wednesday or a Friday. Like, I never
Mhm.
work the same days, never go to the same cities. It allows me that flexibility, and I really enjoyed that. I still really do enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I worked nights as an ER nurse for a long time,
Mm,
and let let me tell you, I can really relate to the feeling of not liking a routine and not, it's not even that so much for me as I felt like it's exciting when you don't know what you're gonna walk into. Like it's
yeah,
scary, but it's also like it's exciting. Like you
yeah,
complain about it at the time, you're like, oh man, who knows what's gonna happen.
happen,
But
yeah.
but then when you're in it, you're like, oh, it was so crazy last night. This guy threw a trash can at my head, and then
I feel you. Definitely with,
yeah,
what's going on in the airline industry. Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah.
walking into
No,
crazy, you never know.
we'll get into that. I'm excited to ask you your thoughts on that. So about when you kind of mentioned it. You said you went to college thinking you were going to go into education,
Hmm.
and that's when you kind of realized that the routine was just not sitting for you. So
Yeah.
at that point were you like, okay, I need something more offbeat or more like you know just something different. At that point, is that when you were thinking, okay, let me go into the airline industry, or let me become an entrepreneur like my dad?
Yeah, so and that was the reason why I became a flight attendant, because of my dad. It's crazy. It's not even because of my mom. Because I wanted, like I said, wanted to do something with kids and education. Being a teacher wasn't fit for me. So then I
Mhm.
thought about opening my own daycare.
Mhm.
And so, but like I said, it was a lack of money with my dad trying to be an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And so, with the flexibility of being a flight attendant, like I said, I seen my mom's schedule and she only had to work 3 times out of the week. So, she had like 4 days to do whatever else she wanted to do with, whether she wanted to pick up extra work from work or go out and find another job. So, I was thinking, oh, well, I could have insurance, I could have, you know, a paycheck coming in and still be an entrepreneur. So
Mhm.
that was my goal originally. And then I just became a flight attendant. And I mean, and it's crazy because I did long for more. Like, I was like, it has to be more than this.
Mhm.
But I don't know, just, life moves so fast. And, my idea of becoming a daycare owner changed,
Mhm.
as I gotten older. And then I had kids of my own.
Mhm.
And so, yeah,
It just shifted your perspective. I
yeah,
mean, it does. Life comes at you really fast once you get out of high school, get out of
in
college, and you're like,
college,
now
yes.
I have to just figure things out. And I think most people can really relate to that. Were you, being that your mom was a flight attendant as a kid, were you used to flying a lot, or did you guys go on trips? Like, were you used to being around planes as a child, like used to flying?
Yes, so my mom used to take us, because it's called an overnight when you sleep somewhere.
Hmm.
So she used to take us on our overnights. Our dad used to come with us, and we used to go on her overnights with her. So yeah, we were around the airport a lot, around airplanes a lot. But I mean, to be honest, just me becoming a pilot never even crossed my mind,
Yeah.
because I never seen anyone like me as a
Hmm.
pilot. Like, so reputation really does matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy because even now, I mean, it's very we're still catching up, right? Like it's
Hmm.
2024. We've had one black president. We barely have gotten one black slash South Asian female in the White House. it's like, people think we've gotten so far, but America is still so very young, and we're we're catching up. We're like
Hmm.
just now becoming aware of how far behind we are in so many different regards, especially when it comes to representation. I mean, I think it's very cool now because I'm in my mid 30s, and when I was growing up, which doesn't feel like it was that long ago, um, there still wasn't enough representation. And I had interviewed somebody recently, and I said, she's a Filipina actress, and I was telling her, like, you are the first person that I ever saw in media who even remotely looked like me and was in
Hmm.
like a starring role and not just like um, Indiana Jones sidekick.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So it really, and when you're young and you don't have these people to look up to, you don't realize it, but it does something to you. Like, you don't realize it, but you start to believe, like, this is what's normal. This is what should be out
Hmm.
there. Like, I should
Yeah.
be blonde hair and blue eyed and tall. And like, maybe there's something wrong with me. And so I can relate, to just not even like thinking about it, because why would you? It's not there
Yeah.
in front of you.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear a bit about your experience becoming a flight attendant. Like, what was that like once you decided, I want to do this? Was it a rigorous experience of training and getting hired? Was it a little bit more simple since your mom was already in the industry?
So for me, trying to become a flight attendant, I did apply twice. I got rejected twice before I became a flight attendant. There was I did do like a little coaching
Hmm.
before I tried again and applied again. And then after I got the coaching, I got the job because it now I feel like everything is on Zoom,
Hmm.
interviews, but that was an in-person interview, and they were looking for, the star method of how you answer things, and
Hmm.
I had no idea about that. Like, coming from college to having my first like real job, I'm like, I've never heard of this. So and then the training, yes, they were really strict. You had to be up at a certain time, you had to look a certain way, dress a certain way, and if you were late they cut you from the program. It was 5 weeks. I had to be in Dallas for the whole 5 weeks. It was pretty intense.
Like a boot camp.
Yeah, 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 boot camp, because they said that if you are on time, you are late. So
Hmm.
you always supposed to be early. Oh, I keep on saying I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. We can filter some of that out. Don't worry.
So I mean, it was a great experience. I did meet a lot of friends that I still do have today. I mean, it's been 10 years. So it's been a very good experience. The training was vigorous. I've heard that they have gotten better with training, to try to help people along the way. But yeah.
Yeah. What was the most difficult part about the training? Like, I know you mentioned waking up early. Was there a lot of like on the job training, or was it more like studying a textbook?
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. You really don't actually learn the job until you're out on the line,
Hmm.
because in training is a lot of textbook. Every day
Hmm.
we take a test, every day we go over what we did the day prior. And before we got there, they did have us to memorize our announcements. Like on
Hmm.
Southwest, we're not supposed to read our announcements off the tablet, we're supposed to memorize them. So
Hmm.
before we get there, we have these announcements that should already be memorized. And it's maybe about 10 different announcements. And so that is something that they want you to have already before you get there. In the city codes, they want you to memorize all the city codes that they flew to in military time. So that, I think, was the biggest things too, just the test every day, going back to your hotel room, studying. When I first started, we did have roommates, which they don't have anymore, which is
Hmm.
which is hard in itself having a roommate as a grown adult and y'all both are two different people. So that was a struggle in itself getting to know somebody. But training was only 5 weeks when I went through. I know now it's 4 weeks, so it has
Mhm.
changed since I've been through it.
Wow, wow. I mean, that's a lot of material to cover in such a short amount of time. So you basically you're in this boot camp for 5 weeks in Dallas, and then they just release you to the wild. They're like, go on.
Yes,
You're in the air.
yes.
What was your first, tell me about your first flight, like your first experience as a professional flight attendant.
So, you know what? Let me backtrack, but because before you graduate, you do something called an IOE, which is
Hmm.
like an inline experience. And so that was like my real taste of being a flight attendant. And I wanted to throw up. I wanted to throw up. I did not sleep the night prior. And everyone kept on telling me to eat. I did not eat because I was so nervous. I was
Hmm.
so nervous. And so it was crazy, but the women that I met on my first flight was amazing. They
Hmm.
tried to help me calm my nerves, but I was still very nervous, even though they were amazing. I didn't have any crazy passengers or anything like that. Southwest do we do we don't have carts, so we like tray service, and so that is something that I remember. I dropped a drink, a red drink on a man's khaki pants, of
Oh
course.
no.
I remember that like it was yesterday because I was so mortified that I did that. But we gave him like a cleaning slip so he can get his pants clean. But other than that, my first flight was uneventful besides that because when we came back after your first flight, you talk about your first flight, and someone in my class had a medical emergency where
Oh
a
shoot.
passenger, yeah, passed away. So I was like, I was very
Oh
grateful. Yeah,
shoot.
I did. Yeah, I was very grateful. I just had a drink because when he was telling us that story, everybody was crying, and
Oh,
yeah, it was tough. It was tough. So, but mine was very uneventful. Besides dropping a drink on a passenger, but I was like, it's my first day. You know how I'm new.
yeah,
I'm new. Don't get
yeah.
mad at me. So,
What is the craziest thing that's ever happened to you on a flight?
a lady threw a purse at me.
Oh,
She
oh my
threw her
gosh.
purse
Did
at
she
me.
get kicked off the plane?
No, she didn't. Cause I didn't. I actually didn't tell nobody. I didn't
Oh
tell
my God.
nobody. Yeah, she.
Jeez.
I mean, I a people pleaser. I'm
Hmm.
definitely a people pleaser. So, and I don't like to ruffle feathers or anything like that. And we were all having a bad day. So I was trying to be understanding, because the flight had already been delayed
Hmm.
maybe 5 hours by the time
Oh my
I got
gosh.
there. Yes, we were in Tampa. And if anybody knows anything, I guess it's during the summer that they have like these rolling storms that come through.
Hmm.
And so it was during the summertime. And this was when I was new, like maybe because I was still on probation and I was still on reserve, which is like
Hmm.
when they call you. So they called me to work this flight. And I looked at the flight on the screen, like, because you know how you can see the flight, and
Yeah.
it said like delayed, like, and it was supposed to leave that morning. And I had
Oh my
gotten there in
gosh.
that afternoon and it was still sitting there. And so there was like, there is a break in the storm, and we're going to try to hurry up and get the plane out. And I'm what you call the A. So I'm like in front of the cabin,
Hmm.
and we have these row of seats that don't have, like, in the very beginning of the aircraft, it does not have a seat in front of it.
Hmm.
So everything that you bring on board, you have to put in an overhead bin
Hmm.
because, like, your purse, because you don't have
You
anywhere
don't
to
have
store
anyone
it.
in front of you. Hmm.
Yeah, so you don't have anywhere to store it. And she got mad that I asked her to put a purse up, and so she threw it at me.
Oh my goodness. Did you put it up into the overhead bin
No,
for
I
her?
did not, because I got very upset. I had to
Yeah.
walk away. And her husband actually, because her husband was sitting next to her, and her husband was like, "You need to calm down." And I was like, "Yes, we all need to calm down." So her husband actually picked it up and put it in an overhead bin because
Oh,
I just walked off because
oh
I
my
was like,
gosh.
"Not today."
Sometimes that's the only reaction, right? Like you could choose to escalate and meet that person at their level of
Yeah,
um, craziness for lack of a better word, or you can just walk away and process your emotions.
yeah.
Oh my
I had
gosh.
to because I was already upset at the situation as well because first of all they pulled me from the trip that I was
Hmm.
originally supposed to work this one to try to help it get out.
Yeah.
So it was not where I was supposed to be, not where I wanted to be,
Right.
because I had my own trip. And that's one thing about the airline industry. Like, you do have to be flexible
Yeah.
because they will pull you. You think you're going to Hawaii, you
Hmm.
know, and they will pull you from your trip and put you somewhere in Midland, Odessa, Texas, where it's nowhere, it's not beautiful, it's not Hawaii, where you wanted to go. Like, that's the reason you picked up this trip. That's the reason why you were excited to go to
You're
work.
like, I'll go, I'll have dinner in Maui, I'll grab a Mai
Yes,
Tai, I'll be back in the morning.
yes, and no, they send you to Midland, Odessa, Texas, where it's nothing around you but weeds and dirt. So, and I totally forget where the flight was going, but I was in my feelings too because I didn't want to go. They
Yeah.
took me away from the crew that I had been with already to put me on this flight, work this flight. So that's what I'm saying. We were all having a bad day. So, I was trying to be level headed. I was trying to, keep the cool because to get her off the plane was going to be another 15, 20 minutes to take her off the flight. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just go. Let's just have.
Yeah.
But she did apologize. She did apologize to me during the flight because she was saying that I didn't meet her with the same energy she was giving me. I was super nice. I was like, and she was like, what? I'm so sorry. I was wrong. And so
Yeah.
we had a good flight after that. She apologized and everything because her husband was like, I don't want to get kicked off. I've been in here in the airport for
Oh
so
my
long. And I'm
gosh.
like,
This
I'm
is
not
the
about to kick
perfect
nobody off.
example of like, you just got to be kind to everybody. Like you said, everyone was having a bad day.
Yeah.
Um, oh my gosh. Well, okay, so you're fully a flight attendant in this chronological story we're telling, and you are, fully into your career now. Like you obviously get past your probationary period. At what point are you thinking like, I really like this? Like what, for example, is your favorite part about your job?
My favorite part, I love going to the different cities. Like, I'm a walker. I'm a
Hmm.
big walker. So like I get out and I just walk the city. And that is like one of my favorite thing, and meeting new people like with our job in Los Angeles, it's about maybe about 1100 of us. I
Wow.
have not flown with the same person since I've been in Los Angeles. Like, that's how, well, first of all, I don't work a lot, but that's how many people it is and how often like the schedules change. So if you do meet a person one day and you like, "Oh, okay, we're not clicking, we're not matching. I'm okay with, us never seeing each other again." You can make that possible.
Oh my
So I love
gosh.
that too about our job. I love, walking, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like the same thing, same routine every day,
It,
seeing the same people every day. So I
it's
definitely
just
enjoy
totally
that.
different. Even with
Yeah.
coworkers too, you mean, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of wild. So you're just totally like, it's a new adventure every time you go
Every,
into work.
yes.
Do you
Yes.
do you get to choose your, like you said with seniority, you get to kind of pick the time frames, like
Hmm.
whether it's 2 days, 3 days. Do you also get to choose your assignments, like where you want to go to
Hmm.
a certain extent?
Yes, to a certain extent. We have this thing called bidding where you could bid your times, your days, your overnights. And if you are awarded that, you can receive that.
Mhm.
And then we have this thing called open time, where if you didn't like the trip you got, you can go into that system and change to a better trip that you like.
Mhm. Do you get to take your family with you?
I have never taken my family with me, and that is one thing that makes me sad, because me and my husband do have opposite
Mhm.
schedules.
Mhm.
He works Monday through Friday, and I usually try to do like a Saturday, Sunday. So our schedules are just so opposite. So they have not been able to be come along with me on a trip. But that is one thing that I do want to do before I, become a commercial pilot, I should say,
Mhm.
because I mean, I haven't shared this, but two out of my four sisters are flight attendants as well.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's three of us at well, plus my mom, it's four of us at
Mhm.
Southwest. So I would love to work with everybody before I move move on to become a
Mhm.
commercial pilot.
I would love to talk more about when you learned that you could become a pilot and how that came about and what drove you toward that.
It's been about 3 years since I learned that I become a pilot. And that sounds crazy because I'm 34, and just
Mhm.
3 years ago I found out I can become a pilot. I was at work one day, and I had always had this feeling of becoming a pilot. So about 5 years I've been having this feeling, but I never said it out loud, or I never talked to anybody about it, because it was just a crazy notion I had in my head. Because like I said, I never seen a female, and I never seen a black female as a
Mhm.
pilot.
Mhm.
And so about 3 years ago, that kind of started changing. Like I met my first officer that was a female, and then I seen a black African American male that was a
Mhm.
first officer. And I'm like, okay. So I started just talking. I started talking to pilots, and this one pilot told me that, you could just go to school to become a pilot. I'm like, you could just go to school to become a pilot? He was like, yeah, because most of the pilots that I talked to prior to this were former military.
Mhm.
Southwest is really big on hiring military people. So they were, either still on reserve, or,
Mhm.
they were retired military. I never met a lot of people that just went to college, or because I'm doing it part time. So it's
Mhm.
called like Part 61. I never met a lot of pilots that did that until recently.
Mhm.
The aviation world is changing into a different direction of people that are just going to college or going to a Part 61 school and becoming pilots.
Wow. So it's exciting because like I shared my experience when I was when I saw for the first time somebody that looked like me um on television. It like all of a sudden something clicks and you're like, wow, that's so cool. It's somebody that looks like me. It's not like the yellow Power Rangers that my cousins are like, okay, well, you have to be the yellow Power Ranger because like we're all going to be the better ones. And like,
Hmm.
first of all, the yellow Power Ranger was dope, okay? She was
She
awesome. But
was,
at the
yeah.
time you feel like, "Oh man, I have to be the yellow Power Ranger." Like you guys get to switch it around and do this and that. So outside of that, like seeing somebody representing you for the first time is like this unlock. You're like, "Wow, there's like this whole world out there that I didn't know existed." Is that how you felt the first time you saw a black first officer or a black pilot? And did you
Yes.
just immediately gravitate toward it like, "I need to know more"?
Yes, and I actually got his name and his number, and he became a kind of mentor
Mhm,
towards me, well, to me. So we have talked, and he actually put me in touch with some people that have helped me along the journey. He has steered me to some nonprofit organizations that I didn't know existed until, recently, that have helped me find other people to help me in my journey. Like, To be honest, I have only met one other female that is a mom that is going through pilot training right now, which is kind of hard because I have met a lot of men that said, just get it done. I know you have a family, but just get it done. But I can't. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I can't just pack up everything and move to the city and just do pilot training, because you can go to the school that takes you from having 0 hours to the step before you become a commercial pilot in a year.
Wow.
But you have to quit your job, you have to go to the city, and you have to buckle down and get it done, which
Mhm.
wasn't, I mean, it can be a possibility for me, but not a realistic possibility for me, because I do hold the insurance in my family, and
Mhm.
we need my paycheck too. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like it wasn't something that I could do. So I was very grateful to meet other women that steered me in this way, like, hey, it still can be done, not in the time frame of a year, but it still can be done.
Yeah. I think that makes all the difference because it's very, I don't want to say it's simple. I don't want to reduce the men in our lives to just to make it sound like, they don't really understand, but like my husband's fantastic. He's a great dad. But and I talk to my girlfriends and my the other moms that I know that have very similar stories where they're like, it's just so different, the experience of being a mother, like having carried your child, never being able to be untethered from them emotionally ever again. Because you're like, I've literally felt this thing moving in my stomach, and now, like, all I can think about is, what his day or life is going to look
Hmm.
like and how that impacts me. Whereas my husband, I think, has a slightly easier time leaving the house. And even though I know he does things for us, for his family, I don't necessarily think that, like, biologically he has the same, like, animal instinct.
Yeah.
And we all know, or at least most women know, that when you are going out and you're choosing to work and you have kids, there's a trade-off. Like, it doesn't come for free. Like, you're sacrificing time with your family, with your children, and and so you really have to weigh the cost of that and weigh how much time you're spending if you can do it. And then, regardless of how ambitious you are, a lot of times our needs have to come secondary to our children because that's what you want to do as a mom. Like,
Yeah.
you want to be so present. um I really admire that you have continued to follow this passion regardless of, you know, how difficult it may be. And I'm so glad that your mentor was able to point you toward the right direction. And if you have any of these resources to share with our audience, we'll put them all in our show notes so that anyone interested in becoming a commercial pilot can, look at some of these resources, and hopefully it helps them too. What what is has the experience of becoming a pilot looked like for you? Like, is it again a lot of tests, or do they actually like put you in a plane after a certain number of hours? Like, do you practice taking off and landing, like, or is it like all simulation? What is this experience like?
It is something that is definitely tough. That it's tough for me. Everybody's different. So, how to become a commercial pilot? Your first stop is a private pilot. You need at least 40 hours in an actual airplane. So right now I fly a Cessna 172 November model, which can
Hmm.
hold about 4 people, me and 3 passengers. And you need 40 hours of actual being in that plane, um, with a CFI, which is a certified flight instructor.
Hmm.
So you do that, then you have to take a written test, which is a lot of book work, and
Hmm.
then you have to do your check ride. which is a oar part, and then a flight portion part,
Hmm.
which is with a DPE, which is they're part of the FAA, but they're like a branch of the FAA.
Like a
Um,
regulatory instructive branch.
Correct, yeah.
Hmm.
And every city and state has their own DPE. And that takes a long time to get to the check ride stage because you do have to go through your training and you do have to perfect it. Like my certified flight instructor is a perfectionist, so he didn't let me go to my check ride until like everything was great. So like we have to do maneuvers, steep turns, power on and power off stalls, S turns, turns around a point. And we have to show this examiner that we can do this and that we have like basic knowledge of how to fly an airplane. And
Okay.
then
I'm trying to imagine this like as if you're learning how to drive a car, right? But you can't. It's so crazy to me because you're driving a car and like it seems like such a baby step compared to this. Like you get in the car, you turn the engine on, like you drive, but you don't have to like lift up and then land. How
but
how is it hard? Like I know I understand you have an instructor next to you the whole time, but like were you terrified the first time you had to do this? Like do they just start like the first 20 hours is like you just taxiing around on a runway? Like what?
no, no, your very first day, you're taking off. You
Oh
probably
my
won't
gosh.
land, but you could definitely take off. They would instruct you of how to take off, which I did a discovery flight. Before I started flight training, that's what they suggest everybody to do. Do a discovery flight and see if you liked it. But I'm gonna be honest. I didn't like my discovery flight. I was very nervous. I was very nervous. I mean, it
Yeah.
was like something new. But I had already told my husband, even if I don't like this flight, I'm gonna continue to go with it because
Wow.
this is just a step that you have to take to get to where you want to go.
Mhm.
I forgot who told me this, but they were saying like like a doctor. They have to go through school to become a doctor. Do they like going to school every day studying books? No, but they know they have to do this to get to where they want to go.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's what I knew I was going to have to do too. Cuz I hate, I don't care who said, hate power on and power off stalls. But I know it's something I have to do to get to where I'm going. And a power off stall is basically you're turning like not the because I don't want to say the engine off because you're not turning the engine off on the plane, but you're reducing the power so much that you're kind of like floating in the air. And I'm like, why I need to do this if my engine is perfectly fine? And I get that I'm learning how to do this just in case of an emergency that I know how to
Mhm.
get myself out of it, but I'm okay with not practicing it over and over again. So, but it is a lot. And now I'm working on instrument, which is like the bulk of like being a commercial pilot because you are definitely flying by your instruments all the time.
Mhm.
So this one has definitely been a challenge to me because it's the opposite of my first certificate that I received,
Mhm.
because your private, it's by sight. Like you're learning how to fly by looking outside of the aircraft. We have a lake by us called Lake Matthews, and that's like a point that we use to know where we're going.
Mhm.
Now I'm looking at my instruments and learning where I am on my instruments, like the GPS in your car. And so not being able to look outside and having to look at the instruments and trust my instruments has been a difficult task.
It's so, I mean, I didn't even think about that, but it makes so much sense because you think about like different weather patterns. I mean, you're flying all over the continental United States and like, even if you don't believe in climate change or climate volatility, like no one can deny there's hurricanes, tornadoes, like these things just exist. There's heavy rainstorms, fog. Um, and like I think about, Kobe when he was in the
Mm,
helicopter. I live in LA and I remember the day that he died,
Mhm.
we were outside in that morning, and it was one of the foggiest days
Mm.
where it was just all the ocean mist coming in. And so it's crazy to think about how rigorous it is as a pilot in training, having to know what it's like flying by sight, but then, being able, like you said, to trust your instruments in the event that you can't depend on what you see out the
Mhm.
window.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really reassuring to hear that you as a pilot are like even for the things you don't like you said, you're like, I gotta do it. Like, this is a step on the way. It's
Yeah.
necessary. Like, I just gotta do it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, do you love being up in the air? Like, what is it exhilarating? Is it scary? Is it all of the above? Like,
See,
when
the
you're up.
only thing that scares me about flying is landing. I love going from point A to point B. I love it. Like, I love just cruising in the air. I love taking off. Landing has been something that has been like something that, I mean, you're just coming at the ground so fast in this
Yeah,
little thing, and you have to, because I'm pretty sure you've been on commercial flight. Like,
yeah,
you don't want to hit the ground hard.
yeah.
Like, you want to try to be as smooth as possible. And when I say I am not as smooth as possible, like, I have definitely had a couple hard landings, and that is the scariest part of my training is landing.
Hmm.
And I'm
Hmm.
trying to perfect that. I'm trying to make sure that I'm a good pilot in that aspect, because a
Yeah.
good pilot is always learning.
Yes. 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 Thank you for saying that. I think it's way more dangerous and way scarier when you have somebody that's so transfixed by their own,
Mm,
opinions and everything, that there's no
hmm.
space for learning, no space for becoming better. And you're like,
Yeah.
man, times are going to keep changing. Your instruments are
Hmm.
probably going to keep changing,
Yeah.
technology. I mean, I hope compasses never go away because, like,
Well,
God
that's one
forbid all
thing
the power
too.
goes,
Yeah. So all the airplanes still have GPSs, but they do have, is it
like, tried
analog?
and true. Yeah.
Yeah, like they still have a compass. We call them a six pack. I actually have on a shirt. So like they still have all the old technology too, just in case,
Something goes wrong. Yeah.
something goes wrong. Yeah, they could still fly by compass. They still have, the attitude indicator, so they could still get to where they need to go.
Wow. I mean, it's so fascinating. Um, okay, earlier you mentioned all the craziness in the airlines currently. Um, what are some of the trends? What are some of the things that you're noticing right now in aviation that have really changed since you started out as a flight attendant?
Well, COVID changed everything. I don't know what happened during COVID, but people changed.
Mm,
I mean, people just aren't as respectful, um, or they feel more entitled, I guess you can say, after COVID. Or I guess they got a brush of death, and they's like, I'm not gonna be quiet or silent anymore. I'm gonna speak my mind, say my piece. Cause I felt like at first, passengers just came on, sat down. It wasn't like a lot of commotion.
mm-hmm,
And the reason why we have the rules is because something happened before in the accident that made these rules. So when we're asking you to put your seat up or your tray table up or your bags underneath, is because we're trying to make sure if there was an accident, we can get everybody out in a timely manner. Is I mean,
yeah, it's
if it,
safety.
yeah, it's safety. Is like, I really don't care. Like, I really don't care. But it's my job to ensure that you are safe.
Mm-hmm,
And it's crazy because I feel like they would look at us in a negative light if we something was to happen and we weren't able to get you off. But
mm-hmm,
I'm asking you to do something, and you are having a fight with me about putting your Louis Vuitton bag underneath the seat. I'm just like, I'm trying to make sure that, if there is an emergency, that you can get out of here really quickly. Because
mm-hmm.
that's our goal, is to get everybody out in less than 60 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's a
think
big
that's
goal.
yeah. I think that's the goal. It's a number. I want to say it's I don't think it's 60 minutes because that's an hour. Yes, I know it's something with a six. Don't quote me on that. But to get everybody out like really quick, like if there's a fire, if there's an emergency landing on water, we trying to get everybody out really quick in a timely manner. So that's why tray tables need to be up, stuff needs to be under the seat. And people just get so mad at us about that.
Yeah.
Like so mad. And I'm like, I'm just a worker bee. I don't make the rules.
Oh my gosh. What is one thing you're really looking forward to after you become a commercial pilot?
Helping other people get to where I am. I want
Hmm.
to look back because this journey has been really expensive, really expensive. So I just want to give other, women, other moms, other, whoever has a passion to do this, a helping hand, even
Hmm.
if it's because I feel like I have applied for scholarships and a lot of the scholarships want younger women. I
Hmm.
don't know why. I don't know why they want younger women because I'm just like, I'm trying to,
Yeah.
but they have like a cutoff. They'd be like 21. And I'm like, that's not fair. That's not fair.
And also, I'm 34 and I I don't want somebody to say that I'm too old to get a scholarship.
Yeah. They'd be like, you too old. You should have thought about this a long time ago. A
Oh
long
my
time ago.
goodness.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things. Like, I don't care about age, gender. If you want to do this, I want to lend a helping hand. And that's one of my goals for when I become a commercial pilot is to look back and help people that are going through the same thing. Because I've been through it now, even though I'm not all the way there yet. I understand the financial burden that this takes. I under the mental exhaustion that it takes. Like I get it now. Like I get
Yeah.
why they paid the big bucks because it's a lot to get to
To
that
where you
point.
are.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, I love that you're a light for, your community, for the community of women, for your daughter. How
Yeah.
old is your daughter, by the way?
She's 4. She's 4.
Do your kids like have a grasp on what you're working on and what you do?
No, they do not. Even though they have been to the airport many, many of times, because I fly out of a little airport right here from my
Hmm.
house, 15 minutes, and it has been times where me and my husband's schedule has overlap where I have to go to school. So he's like waiting on me to drop off the kids so he could,
Yeah.
run to work and stuff like that. And they still don't understand because my son is 2. I know he definitely doesn't
Oh.
understand. And I am trying to get done with this so I could be more present because I know when I first start, at a regional, which is like a little bit, like a little bitty airline before
Hmm.
I get to like a major like Delta or United. My goal is Southwest, but everyone keeps on telling me don't put all my eggs in one basket because you never know. But I know I will be gone away from home a lot. And so
Hmm.
I'm trying to do it now so they really won't remember. I'm trying to get, past because I do not remember a lot when I was like 5, 6.
Hmm.
Yes, I do remember a lot, when I'm 10, 11. So I'm trying to finish it all now so I can get that out of the way so I could be a present parent and I won't feel so guilty about being gone.
It'll feel so cool, I think, when your daughter looks up at you and she's like, my mom is a freaking pilot. She's an airline pilot. Yeah, that's going to be so cool. And I'm sure that there's a part of this, that they're absorbing now that later on your daughter's going to look back and be like, man, my mom really worked her ass off. Your her dad too.
Yeah.
Um, but but it's just so very cool that now you get to do this and carry the torch for your kids and for anyone who wants to do this.
Yeah.
I so have enjoyed listening to your journey and your story and, how much tenacity and bravery it has taken for you to take these steps for yourself and just keep going, even when it feels hard, even when it feels scary, even
Yeah,
when you've
thank
got to
you.
do the landings and the S turns, like things that I don't even know. But I'm so grateful that you're taking it so seriously because
Yeah,
it makes me
yeah,
feel so much better about flying with somebody who really is passionate and serious about what they
yeah,
do.
yeah.
I
I
mean, it
definitely
is.
enjoy it.
I would love to keep chatting, but I promised that I'd give you some time back with your family this evening. So we usually wrap up with a quick set of 5 questions, just some, we call it the fast five, nothing too serious, just to kind of wiggle off the interview, and then I'll ask one closing question. So if you are ready, I can
Yeah.
jump right in. All right. So, question number one: what is one unexpected joy of flying?
Getting to the next destination and seeing the world from a different perspective.
I love that. I love looking out the window. I always ask my husband for the window seat when we're flying.
Yeah, yeah.
Number two: favorite place you've ever been?
Maui. I love Maui. It's because I've been to Honolulu, and
Hmm.
Honolulu is kind of like LA.
Yeah,
It's,
it's a lot more
yeah,
commercial.
yes, and Maui is just like what you think Hawaii is,
Yeah.
So yes, Maui.
Okay. Number three: something you take with you on every flight.
Ooh. The bracelet that I have, a charm bracelet that my family has given me, and it has an airplane. It has, the date me and my husband got married. I
Oh,
do want to get the date of me and the birth of my kids on there, but I wear it every flight. That's crazy. I wear it every flight.
it's like your talisman.
Yeah, yeah.
Number four: destination you can't wait to visit.
Ooh, good question. Probably I want to go to Greece. I want to go to Greece.
Me
Can't
too.
wait.
I've heard such great things about
I
it.
know, and beautiful pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Number five: sunrise or sunset from the air?
Ooh, probably sunset because it gets so much cooler. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the night flights. It's cool to see all the lights, and yeah, sunset. I would say sunset.
Okay. And here's our final question. What's one quality you had as a young woman or teen girl that you might not have appreciated at the time, but you look back at now and you think you're just so proud of it?
Probably the openness to try new things, even if I'm fearful of them. Like,
Mhm.
I do not like the ocean, but I became a certified scuba diver. And now becoming a pilot. So anything that I want to do, I put my mind to it, even if it gets me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. I love that. I really enjoy how brave you are, you know, especially in light of talking about your fears. You're laughing at me because you're like, you're crazy. I'm not brave. I know, I can see it all over your face. But let me just tell you, from starting out as a child growing up in Texas and watching your mom go out and do what she was doing and not really even having an idea that that's kind of where your life would take you,
Yeah.
to giving up becoming a teacher to,
Because that was the
to
safe
pursue
option.
yeah, to
Yeah.
pursue this dream. And hearing you say, sometimes you don't feel brave about it, or you feel like, what am I doing, or
Hmm.
this is really hard, or like landing is very scary. But then on the other side of it, to be like, I just got to do it anyways. I'm going to learn because where I need to be, this is what I've got to do.
They do.
And I
Yeah.
think there's something so powerful about that message and about that lesson and in how you carry yourself and your goals and getting through all of these fears and apprehensions to become the person you want to be and create this life for yourself. It is so exciting to hear how far you've come, and it's so exciting to know this journey that you're on. I can't wait to have you back after you're
Yes.
licensed. And
Yes.
I'll be on any one of those flights if you need a companion.
Sounds good. Yes, I definitely can't wait to be back to share, the rest of my journey with you guys, to
Yeah.
be able to help, other women, young girls, teenagers, whoever wants to become a airline pilot to become one.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing your evening with us, for sharing your story, for giving us some insight into the aviation industry, what it looks like now, and how you're aiming to change it. I'm so excited, and I can't wait for our listeners to hear this episode.
Yeah, me too.